I think the game industry has done a lot of things in this cycle, particularly in the last few years, that are really, really amazing, that inspire you to go further. And particularly a lot of games like Heavy Rain, how they portray their characters, how well done that is on a storytelling level. I think that's still the trickiest thing to do in games, is to get good characters on the screen, emoting. I love the Rockstar stuff, you know, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption. I think they handle that, making it fun to play while being grand, really, really well. You know, Portal was a game I played that when I finished, I put down the controller and applauded over the credits while the song is going. I think it's really, really inspired. It's the kind of game where you think, wish I had done that. That is awesome. But even on the sports front, I play a lot of sports games, and I think people don't appreciate how hard it is to emulate something everybody knows really, really well. You know, everybody knows how football works, and there it is on the screen. I sort of joke in the office that it is one of the best role-playing games, NCAA football. It's like, I got 50 characters, all with 30 stats that are leveling up all the time. You know, building your own team. I think as far as role-playing, and there's a number of studios that are still pushing on it, and what it means to be a role-playing game and the kind of things that you get to do in them. One of the things with role-playing is it's one of these genres that doesn't define itself by a type of interaction. You can do anything. There is no feature that you can think of that you can't put in a role-playing game. You could, you know, you could have a racing game break out in a role-playing game. You could have a football game start in a role-play. You know, there is nothing that you leave off the table when you start a role-playing game. So I actually think sort of the future of role-playing games, and I'm seeing it now with things, are that role-playing is creeping into all the other genres. You know, Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, you know, at its base level and picking perks and getting experience points. One of the nuts of a role-playing game is, you know, building up your character and defining yourself and being rewarded for that. That's a big nut of their multiplayer. Or Red Dead Redemption and collecting items and going out and exploring and picking up quests. And, you know, Red Dead Redemption is a really good role-playing game, yet doesn't check off the box for, I made my character. So I see it more where it's creeping into lots of stuff. I've been asked about the difference between the Western RPGs and the Eastern Japanese ones, and the Western ones getting more popular. And I honestly don't have an answer to that, because I've always been into Western RPGs, and that's what we make. I've never been that into the Japanese RPGs because I want to roam and do what I want, and traditionally they don't let you do that. This will be a gross generalization of it, but I find in Japanese art and science fiction and fantasy that it's super fantastical. And in Western stuff, it tries to get more realistic as much as it can for what it is. So like the Western, you know, myself will approach it kind of, all right, this is fantasy and it has elves and swords and dragons, but it has to feel real. You know, it has to feel like this could happen or did happen. Or even Mass Effect, the way it approaches science fiction. When you see a Japanese one, it's crazy on another level of like, well, that looks cool, but that's nuts. You know, it's really high fantasy. It's really crazy science fiction. And then the Earth like eats itself, and then why are there nukes? And I have trouble with my father and mother. Like they all just think, yeah, I don't know. I don't get into that stuff as much. I think because I can't wrap my hands around it, so it doesn't suspend my disbelief in the way, like, even though it's historical, like Red Dead immediately, like, this is all real. You know, I'm here, I'm doing this, and these are real places in the West, even though they're made up. For the pure role-playing game, I think the one thing that people are still pushing on, including us, is how the other characters act, how they respond to you doing something. There's still a lot of ground to be covered in that, where, you know, I can think of a list a mile long of, it could do this, it could do this, it could do this, it could do this. Whereas I think when it comes to the environments you're walking through, they're pretty good. They'll look better each time, but there isn't like this, environmental thing that we just can't do yet. I don't feel a need like, okay, when's the next hardware cycle? I don't think that's going to push us anywhere that is really new yet. As far as all the new tech that's out, whether it's Move, Connect, the 3D stuff, I have looked at most of it. I'm still kind of waiting. I like gadgets, so I like them on a gadget level. I'm personally not a fan of 3D. I think it kind of muddies the picture. I don't like to wear the glasses. I mean movies, Avatar, anything. I'm not just, game or X system. I just am not, it doesn't do a lot for me. I have played a bunch with the Kinect. As a gadget piece of technology, I think it's awesome. We do have a dev system here, and when you look into the data it's collecting and what it's doing, it is really, really amazing. And I think you're seeing that with some of the hacks a lot of people have done. I think the games, I appreciate what they've done so far. Those are the games I think you need to do at launch to show plugging the holes in the water in the Adventures game. That game you cannot do on the Wii. I think they definitely went out and said, we need experiences that you cannot do with anything else. But I think it suffers from, Joyride is not a good way to play a racing game for me. My kids love it, but it's not as good as having a controller. So I think eventually they'll come into some software that really does the hardware justice. 'Cause right now I don't think they have one that. There's going to be some breakthrough stuff coming. I'm sure of it. We have looked into using the other platforms, doing an iPhone thing, using social media for our games. I find very few of those games are things that I really enjoy. I like game experiences on my iPhone that would not be better anywhere else. So I don't like to play racing games on my iPhone because I have Forza. That's not going to be better than that ever. So I don't know that I don't think we would ever do a game experience like Skyrim on one of those devices, because to me it would never be as good as the main one. That being said, we are looking at ways to there are ways to extend it and do things on those devices that would be no better anywhere else than that. That's sort of how I look at it. So nothing to sort of declare we're doing this right now, but there are things that we're thinking about.